Tasha Schuh had a theater accident at the age of 16 that left her paralyzed from the chest down. She now has made it her mission over the years to spread inspiration and hope to others with disabilities. Can you tell us a little bit about your theater accident that caused you to become paralyzed from the chest down?
I was really involved in theater. I loved music. I loved acting. As soon as I could get involved in my high school productions, I was there. I was so excited. And so my sophomore year was my first production that I was in, and that was Greece, where I got to be Sandy, which was so much fun. And then my next year's production I would be a junior, was going to be The Wizard of Oz. And so we had practiced. We were down to the wire. We had just a few nights until our opening night. I was cast as a chorus member this year, so most of my main job was to really help with scene changes. And we were practicing one of the scene changes that was giving us just a lot of complications, a lot of problems. And we were rehearsing, and this night our director had turned all the lights off because that's what it was going to be like. So he wanted us to see what it would be like when we were actually during the production. And it's a really long story, but to make it shorter, I was standing on stage, and from directly behind me, they removed the cover off of the trapdoor on stage. And I had no idea. And this all probably happened within the matter of 2 to 5 seconds. So they removed the cover off of the trapdoor directly behind me. Someone told me to move out of the way. And I just took a step backward. I didn't think anything like, okay, I'm moving. And that one step backward was my last that I would ever take. And I fell through the trapdoor, and I fell 16 feet to a cement floor, where I landed on the back of my head, and my body is what came next. And that really only left one thing in between, and that was my neck. So I broke my neck at the C5 level. I severely crushed my spinal cord.
Can you just share a little bit about like how you manage day-to-day tasks independently, and then also with the help of your husband or other people?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, I'm really independent once I'm up in my wheelchair. So I met Doug about 15 years, who's my husband, about 15 years after my accident. So up until then, I had always had caregivers that came in that helped me get ready for the day, help me get dressed because I'm not able to do any of that myself, help me get into my wheelchair and get ready for the day. And then once they leave, I'm pretty independent and I would have a caregiver usually come back in for an hour for lunch, but I would do dinners on my own. And then they would come back in and help me get out of my wheelchair and into bed for the night. Doug will help prepare meals, and he does all the cooking, and does a lot of things around the house. For this call, he helped get my microphone set up and helped, so he'll do stuff like that. But when we're working together, he's downstairs or out in the kitchen, and I'm doing my work in my office, which is where I am right now. So we have a really good balance in that. Plus Doug cannot do hair. So we learned right away, this is not going to work if I don't have caregivers. My hair is going to suffer immensely because I do my own makeup, as I share in a lot of my videos, but my hair I am not able to do. So that makes it always, job security for my caregivers is what they say. So
what now, from the 23 years since your accident, what have you learned that you wish that, you would have been able to tell yourself 10 or 20 years earlier?
Oh my goodness, so much. Oh my goodness,
Pick like
so
the
much.
top three, let's put it that way.
Yeah. When I speak, I share about an acronym called PATH, and there's basically the four things that have helped me get through my accident, get through life, and other difficulties that I've gone through. It wasn't just my accident. I've had hospitalizations, I've had relationship failures, I've had all of these things. And hindsight is so important. When you're going through these things, it's so overwhelming, and it's just seems like it's gonna wreck your life, or you'll never recover from this. And I've just learned in this acronym, it's PATH, it's purpose, attitude, team, and hope. And I think those are really the four things that I look back and I wish I could have told myself these things as I was going, when I had my accident, that you are here for a purpose. Your life matters, and you're going to make a difference someday. And that's something that I never believed that I would be able to do, sitting in this wheelchair.
What do you think about inclusion and accessibility where it stands today?
Oh, well, I'm very grateful that I live in this time, because we have made huge strides and leaps and bounds in terms of inclusion and accessibility, and adapting things. Now, do we have a long ways to go? Yeah, there's a lot more to be done, but I am so grateful for the people that have paved the way, that have stood up and said, no, we need things to be accessible. We need to be able to allow people with disabilities to be out in the community, and how much better our society has become because of it.
And what would you like to see with inclusion in the next 10, 20 years from now, if anything?
I just think more of what's already happening, with accessibility to the workplace. I have a couple friends that are still, even though they have the ADA, yeah, their workplaces are not willing to adapt to their needs. And I understand it's expensive, but at the same time, they don't realize the benefit that having somebody in their workplace brings to the morale of their employees, and what that person brings to their workplace is worth that investment. Mm-hmm. And so there's that aspect.
And now lastly, what advice would you give to others who are struggling? Your wonderful words of wisdom that you give, your talks, what would you tell others that are watching this interview?
Oh, yeah,
and there's a lot, so just give me one or two. It doesn't need to be the whole gamut.
Yeah. Well, I think I shared a little bit already. Just, if you are watching this and you're struggling, just keep going, and promise yourself, promise us that you're not going to quit, because that's how we lose. We truly lose when we quit.